how do you figure out what you want to do?
I think it was even harder because I did want to do it. I was still loving my job as a producer. So it was kind of this like juxtaposition of like my emotions, right? Like, what am I meant to be doing? And in TV, it's a lot of like, just, you're freelance. You go from project to project. So I could have easily picked up the phone and called and got myself another show to work on. But instead, I was kind of like, let me just figure this out. And I had no support. We had just moved into our new house, and now, we're down a nice salary. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to stay home with them. So it was an adjustment for my husband. It was an adjustment for our family. And I thought that, okay, well, I'm going to get a master's degree. I'm going to jump in and get a master's degree. Maybe I want to be a teacher. And 6 months into that, actually, I think I'm even a lot further along. I almost have my degree, but I was far enough along in that I realized I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to go into the classroom. So now I'm all this money in debt. And at the same time, I took a 9-to-5 job at a marketing agency thinking, producing marketing. It was so toxic and so not creative. So it was not up my alley at all. So now I'm like, both of these decisions were wrong, just not a good fit. And then I just was listening to a podcast with Marie Forleo. And, she just said something that made me realize like, okay, well, let me take charge of my life and steer it in the direction I want. And I decided to research opening a business and decided to leap and stopped my master's program, quit my job, and launched my first business with Snapology. It's a STEM children's education business. We teach robotics and Legos. So that was my first venture into being an entrepreneur.
Well, how long have you been podcasting? Because you have the podcast Second Act Success, which is so great.
Yeah, the podcast started first. So I launched that last spring while I was building out my coaching program and my course. So it's really just been since like early spring of 2022. And the podcast, I really started with meeting other women and having them come on the show and talk about how they went from being a yoga instructor to a mental health therapist, just these really drastic changes to hopefully inspire others that, hey, I can do that too. And everyone that guests on the podcast are like, people can reach out to me. I'm happy to help them, figure out or let them know what my path was so that maybe they can take a similar path. And that's been such a great community that I feel like we've formed of women helping each other.
So there's so many shiny objects. How do you not just go, I want to do that and I want to do that and stay focused?
I don't. I have so many ideas of like different things to turn the business into. What's really nice is that my other business is being taken care of by my team. I've grown a really incredible team. I made one of my employees my director, and she really handles everything. So I can focus on Second Act Success and my clients and the podcast. So I think that's really huge if you are going to have multi businesses and do different things, is to have people to help you, accountability partners and people to support you. So I have that in that business. So I check in and I'm present, but I'm not doing the day to day. And here with the podcast, it's a lot of recording and booking guests and being on other shows. And then you've got your clients. And so it's just trying to do it all every day and then try to shut it down when the kids get home from school and be that mom that all of this stems from, that I want to be present for their activities and with my 2 little boys.
Yeah, of course. You said something really key that I'm very big on right now, and that's accountability partners. I've started these confidence and clarity boost sessions, and they've been going really well. And what people are really wanting, and I'm huge on accountability partners. So talk about that.
Like you, I think it's huge. And actually what's funny is one of my first guests on my podcast, we just hit it off, and we have been that for each other every single week since last like April or May. And she lives in England and I live in New Jersey, but we just are like so in sync. Our businesses are kind of similar, and we take the time to support each other every day. And we talk every day, and then we meet to have a Zoom once a week. And that's just so nice to know that she gets what I'm going through and vice versa. So she is a huge accountability partner. And then I feel like you and I are in the same group, a podcasting group. So it's nice to have other people that are doing what you're doing to lean on. And really, I don't know about you, but I find that I make such great connections with people who are guests on my show. And then we support each other on social and we share things and we connect and really stay in touch and help foster each other's careers and businesses. And, hey, I think I've got a great person for you to talk to, Laura, and I'm going to introduce you. And that's my favorite part of podcasting, is really just the connections and making friends all over the world that you can turn to if you need help. Like, I had this wonderful guest on my show, and, I always give a comment or a like on her post. And one day she messaged me and said, can you, you're so nice to always comment. I'm doing an Instagram live and I'm so afraid that no one's coming. Can you join and chime in? And I was like, of course. Just having that is really cool, to know that you can help someone and then they'll help you back.
What's the hardest challenge that you've ever gone through personally, and how did you overcome it?
Honestly, it was probably having postpartum depression. And now I say a lot is that I probably made the wrong decision in up and leaving 6 months into, having a baby and uprooting our lives. I think it was a blessing. My mom ended up having a brain aneurysm about a year or so later. And I think, well, this was all meant to be. We uprooted our lives. We moved so I could be close to her, and she is still with us. But otherwise I would have had to quit my job anyway to be on the East Coast with family because we're so close. But I think it was going through that. And, you go through, I've dreamed of living in Los Angeles and being a producer since probably about first or second grade. Everything was Hollywood to me. And that was just, I wanted to be in the industry. And then I get my dream, and then something just shakes my world and makes me realize I need to leave it. And then a couple of years later, actually leaving it and trying to figure out who I am without it was probably the biggest personal, struggle and issue that I dealt with.
Did you know you had postpartum depression?
I knew something was not right. And it wasn't really until we were here on the East Coast and I started thinking like, okay, like I need to figure this out and get some help. And then when I was having my second, I realized like, okay, I can't go through this again, and spoke with my doctor, and we figured out a way to make sure that everything was going to be good on the other end of that second pregnancy, because it can change everything. And how see you just don't see clearly. It's really hard to make friends at our age. And it's funny because I feel like during the pandemic, I was very, let's all stay here in our bubble, and I wasn't going to see people, and I have an autoimmune issue. And so I was very, very cautious. And I feel like I almost became estranged from some friends for that reason. I don't know if you've dealt with any of that. I'm in my house and everybody else is getting together. And so now I'm trying to make more of a habit. Like I had a friend just ask for dinner tomorrow night, and I'm like, yes, let's go. Let's make it work. Like make the time, put it on the calendar. And my old roommate from Los Angeles just moved out here. So now she's about an hour away, but we obviously live together forever. So we get to see each other more often. And we literally put the date when we're together in our calendars so that we know we can look forward to this. And this is when we're going to get together, because life gets so busy otherwise. And